Meet the Chancellor on Triad today. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable convenes. We'll get into all sorts of topics, so stay tuned for the fireworks. Between now and then, some great guests and information coming your way as well. For example, we'll tell you about an art show and sale that's just around the corner. It's going to help benefit Meals on Wheels. What a great program that is. And speaking of art and arts, we'll see how the arts are flourishing on the campus of UNCG. And we'll have a conversation about grief counseling that's being provided by the good folks at Mountain Valley Hospice. All that and much more coming up. But first, we turn our attention to higher education and to a man who is not new to the area, but new to a job. Laurie Bates, our director. Let's meet the very distinguished Dr. Elwood Robinson. He's the 13th Chancellor at Winston-Salem State University. Welcome, Chancellor.
Thank you, Jim.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
We didn't rehearse any of this. I just said, can you drop by? And he took some time out of his schedule. This is the busiest man in America. Tell me quickly where you were born, where you grew up.
Born in North Carolina, born in a small rural town called Ivanhoe, North Carolina. And excited to be back in the state. Took about a 2.5-year hiatus, went up to Cambridge for a while, and now I'm back.
Tell everybody who doesn't know, what's Ivanhoe near?
Ivanhoe is near Clinton, Wilmington, about halfway between Clinton and Wilmington.
Okay.
You'll be there.
What did your parents do?
Parents, farmers, grew up rural, tobacco, blueberries, strawberries, anything we could grow.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
I'm curious, anybody, and you can mention your parents again if you like, but I'm just thinking anybody other than your parents that might have had an influence on you, an impact on you, a teacher, a mentor along the way that sort of led you to a career in education?
Yeah, I think early on, I think it began with my parents. I think they kind of instilled in me the need for education and that it was a way of kind of escaping poverty, living a better life. They instilled that in me. And going to school, grade school, had tremendous teachers who influenced me, who mentored me, who believed in me, who gave me the confidence to be able to excel academically. So those first grade teachers and my fifth grade teachers.
Those formative years.
Those formative years, absolutely.
Yeah, I think back to, you're right. I think you think about those teachers in the early years, they really do make a difference. What drew you to Winston-Salem State?
I knew about Winston-Salem State growing up. I knew it was a great university. I had friends who went to Winston-Salem State. When I graduated from high school, there were about 3 for me, growing up in Sampson County, 3 colleges that you went to. You either went to North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T, or Winston-Salem State.
Right.
So I knew about it growing up. I followed it. I've watched some of the transitions that have happened. And I just thought it was just a solid, great university to be, and so that's why I'm here.
Well, I'm a homeboy. I grew up in Winston-Salem, and I was always a big fan of Big House Gaines, and I had the honor of having him on this show a couple times before he passed, and what a great man, a great educator, too, in a way.
Truly a legend, Jim. In fact, my wife and I just left the Chancellor's residence where we just hung a portrait of Big House. That's how I feel about it.
One of my favorite guys.
Yeah.
What's your vision for the university and your goals moving forward?
Really want to continue, I think, in the mold that this university has transformed itself into a university where we really educate students at a very high level. We've looked at our curricula and we've modified that, we think, to position students to be successful in what we call 2020 or 2025. I think that it has a solid foundation. And so what we want to do is build upon that. What we want is to become, in my view, kind of a first choice institution. When people wake up in North Carolina, I want that to be one of the top 1, 2, or 3 universities they think about attending because they can get a high quality education. So it is about continuing to exercise the name and the brand of Winston-Salem State.
Yeah, I remember growing up in the 50s and 60s and friends of my parents who wanted to go into nursing. I always remember them saying, well, we're going to Winston-Salem. Well, it was a college then.
Sure.
And because of the great program, which you still have today, and so many other things too. Very quickly, before we run out of time, you can have great goals, but what about the challenges? What challenges are you going to have to overcome?
Our challenges continue to be what's happening in the state of North Carolina for higher education. The cutbacks in terms of budgets. We've reduced our budget at Winston-Salem State almost $40 million over the last few years. We have another cut that's coming up this year. And so the challenge is really getting people back on board, understanding that we need to have a huge commitment to higher education. So it's about getting out there, exercising some leadership, changing opinions about higher education from a legislative standpoint.
We don't want higher education to become moot, do we?
We do not. We do not. And we see some of the things that are happening around the country when people don't invest in higher education.
Absolutely. I want to put up this website, www.wssu.edu. You can find out all sorts of good information, not just about the Chancellor, but about the university and the programs and the curriculum, and I hope that you will take a look at that closely. Will you come back sometime?
I will, absolutely.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.